Are you planning your next vacation to Tuscany? Or are you dreaming of this ultimate, authentic Tuscan experience? Are you eager to find those famous hidden gems? I've owned for about 10 years a winery and boutique hotel in the hills between Cortona and Montepulciano. And in this period, I have made this really interesting observation of guests that were coming eager to find the ultimate, authentic, individual adventure and actually ending up with a very superficial experience. And I mean, you should not have illusions. Tuscany is a very commercial place. Tourists are a very important economical factor here. So you have those really, really crowded places, and you also have those places that are much less visited here. So for me, the very interesting question is, when is an experience special? And when do you think you have this very special hidden gem in front of you? What is making the difference for you? For me, the biggest difference is how you engage with your experience. It should not be passive. It should inspire you. It should tickle your curiosity. It should make you reflect. And I think whatever you're going to visit, you should go home at least with one story in your heart. And I think when we talk about Tuscany and the Renaissance, a lot of people are completely not aware how much of our daily life now is based on the ideas, on the changes, and on the inventions of Renaissance time. And how much wisdom and spirit you will find in a church, in a fresco, in a picture, in a story, in an allegory. For me, the Tuscan experience is based on various layers and should be all encompassing. I mean, sometimes I think you have to visit those really crowded, famous places, like, for example, the Cathedral of Siena or the Uffizi Gallery. And I think sometimes you have to visit this a little bit less known places, like the Villa Medici in Cerreto Guidi, which was the hunting castle of Cosimo de' Medici. And sometimes you have to go to a very small winery where you still have one winemaker. And sometimes you have to go to a very commercial, famous appellation with a famous winery, just because they have succeeded and have put a lot of work and dedication to make this winery famous. I think how good you're going to engage with your Tuscan experience, your holiday adventure, is depending a little bit how good are you able to start your dialogue or to engage with your experience. And for me, this is a little bit like learning a language. Okay, maybe you know that you're starting a new language, and before you can start to have a conversation, you actually need to have some basic understanding of the grammar, of some words, and then you can start communicating. And I think it's a little bit the same for Renaissance art for your cultural experience, even for your wine experience. Because you need somehow to open the first door. So here comes my challenge. What is the ultimate Tuscan experience? Is it what you perceive inside, what you're going to take away for yourself? Or is it the fact that this is a not very well known place where you don't find a lot of people, that is not handled very professionally, but still very personal? What is your opinion about this? So I give you an example. We go inside Santa Maria Novella. And I mean, if you have been in Florence and you have arrived at the central station from Florence, right on the other side, you see a cloister, a church, which is called Santa Maria Novella. And it's quite interesting because this is a gothic cloister from the Dominicans, and it has, when you're going to enter, been renaissanced. And Renaissance is about symmetry. And what they did actually is that they whitened the church or cloister from inside. Quite overwhelming, no? If you don't know a lot about Renaissance or Tuscany or Renaissance art, you can feel that this is very special. But can you relate to it? I don't think so. So let me open some doors for you. So let me give you some focus. I mean, the most important piece is the fresco from Masaccio. So it was Masaccio that was applying for the first time the linear perspective, which means like really the first time that you have a three-dimensional presentation. And because it gets even more profound if you think about it, what Trinity is actually presenting, because Trinity is a sort of belief mystery, faith mystery, because you have to explain why one God has three dimensions, or is the Holy Spirit, no, and Jesus and God is one person, three person at the same time. So in this piece of fresco, he really combined science and belief. And this is actually very profound. And then if you go to the main chapel, I mean, the most rich and noble people at the time were buying chapels or financing, donating chapels. And those are also the places where they got buried. And they try to be as close as possible to the altar, because they were really concerned about salvation of their souls and entering in paradise. So this chapel was from Ghirlandaio, was donated by Giovanni di Tornabuoni. And Giovanni di Tornabuoni was at the time the handling the most important department of the Medici Bank in Rome, where the Vatican was. So he was one of the richest people in Florence at that time. And this is a great, entertaining example for the Tinder of the Renaissance. because Giovanni Tornabuoni, this rich donator of the chapel, knew that only privileged and rich people were entering this part of the cloister. So what did he do? He presented his oldest daughter, Ludovica Tornabuoni, in the most beautiful way. Because if you look at this picture, your eye will automatically fall on this really beautiful young lady in the golden dress. And on the other side, you have also one very remarkable piece. In the scene, you see the Virgin Maria that is visiting her cousin, that is pregnant with John the Baptist. And I mean, the interesting fact is, you see those three people in the background leaning over the wall. And it is known that the work studio, the workshop of Ghirlandaio, had a new apprentice at that time. And this was the 13-year-old Michelangelo. So this were, you can see now, most probably the first paintings of Michelangelo, because art historians are quite sure that he was the one that painted those three men in the background.